Ladies and gentlemen, I think it is fair to say we live in crazy times. Today's video is going to be about oil, the investment landscape, and what I see, what's going on, and some thoughts and prayers. So welcome back, everyone. Here you can see this video isn't going to be super long. This is just going to be a number of the topics that I run through. And as you read it or whatever, I just want to say that I know a number of you are long oil in one form or another. And I just want to say I do feel for you right now. I think this is almost done. I think we're probably through the worst of it. Time-wise, definitely we're moving into the later stages, and I hope to be joining you in the trade soon. As many of you know, oil has had a bit of an unfortunate few years, for investors at least. Every time the price moves to a profitable level, you've had the abundant shale, high IRR, meaning pays back really quickly, so tons of investment, doesn't really make long-term cash flow because the price gets fought back down. But basically, you've had tons of light oil that has crushed every rally in the price. And one of the knock-on effects that this has had is that this has kept prices too low to justify the big investment necessary for offshore exploration and big offshore production. And this is because the offshore sector has also been crippled because of shale, because if you can ramp up a lot of production very quickly, it pays back very quickly once the price gets high enough to justify it, well, then everyone does that and it caps the price. And so in addition to fighting shale, there's had to fight government intervention and OPEC's price games. In a very indebted sector and in the lower price environment has meant that many of these oil stocks are at their lowest level since '04, if not all-time low, if not gone. And for a while now, oil stocks have looked cheap, especially compared to the market, compared to history, and compared to the potential for the future and different types of hedges even. But there was nothing, there wasn't something that looked like it was imminently going to change that. So for a while they were cheap, there was still downside risk, and well, there was two-way risk really. So it could finally fix itself, or it could go down. And this has probably been very weighing on investors. And I mean, things have gotten so bad for the sector that now even they're in fight to the death against a story. And the reason for this video is that things have been kind of escalating to the downside, or collapsing, or imploding, or whatever you want to call it. So in addition to the ESG that decided oil was a new tobacco, or unsustainable, or bad, or whatever, recently you've been having fear of a global slowdown, of global isolation, or ending of travel, or whatever. Whether it's that or the fear of that has taken oil price lower. Now, usually what happens when the oil price goes lower is OPEC versus OPEC plus, which is OPEC plus Russia, decides to cut production to support the price. This time, however, the plus in OPEC, meaning Russia, said no. They decided they're not going to cut the price. So naturally, or not naturally at all, really, Saudi Arabia this time decided no, that Russia does not get to keep producing and take the market share. So instead of cutting and letting Russia take a bit more market share, Saudi Arabia decided to ramp up production to maximum into an oversupplied market. And that brings us to now. Fundamentals of where we stand. The market is heading to probably, I mean, it looks like it's heading into a very oversupplied state, and inventory is it's not super high, not super low, comparative to recent times. But it currently doesn't support super low prices. But if the market is as flooded as it looks to be, then inventory will build very quickly. And this type of environment, as oil production ramps up in the Middle East and there's a decline in travel, temporarily slowing economy, oil production, this really reminds me of the Iranian bust when, well, Cigar Lake came online into an oversupplied market, the Kazakhs were ramping up production. Basically, everything went wrong at the same time. And so it looks like we're going to get some big builds in the near term, and the price is already trying to say that there's problems. So what am I thinking at the moment about the sector? Well, I think we are in the later stages, potentially heading into the final stages now of an oil bust. And we didn't have a big boom recently, unlike previous busts, but the demand collapsing picture and into this type of event definitely looks like the later stages of a bust. Now, this is, I think, probably going to be a fortuitous entry point for once we get through the worst of the bust. I think this is probably going to be a good entry point. I personally was looking to try and get into some oil stocks for the next decade or so. I don't know if it's going to be a full decade, but I think that there's a good chance that they perform well in the 20s. My concern, and the reason I wasn't in it before, and you can track through the history of what I've said on this channel, is that I was concerned about before the inflection point. I was concerned about a slowdown, or there was nothing that looked like it was going to break what kept happening with oil. This, what's happening now, is kind of what I obviously did not predict anything like this, but I was concerned that something like this on even a lesser scale could happen before we got to the point where oil goes back to being fun again. But, so yeah, I'm currently, what I'm spending most of my time on is looking through a bunch of oil stocks, looking for the best candidate. I obviously only want to find something that's going to survive. And from there, I'm looking for a fair amount of upside potential in a surviving stock. So that is what I'm looking at these days, right now, as an ongoing basis. Again, I don't know how much longer there's going to be in this bust or pain trade, or whatever you want to call it. I'm looking right now, thoroughly. So this is really a case of everything going wrong at the same time. Bad news, flushing the market. And I mean, you can see that now in the futures, but it's funny because I actually outlined this whole video this afternoon. Not that I predicted this. I mean, obviously it was, once you saw the news about Saudi ramping up production, you knew something was going to happen. I didn't predict this, but it doesn't matter. But it's just funny because I made this video this afternoon, got distracted, came back this evening, well, late this evening, and boom. There are two trade ideas that I'm also looking at in the near term, not to do with oil, but to do with knock-on effects of what could potentially come from this shift. One is looking at going long natural gas. Now, why is that? Well, if the shale production declines, then the byproduct natural gas should also decline. The second idea is longer tankers, because where are you going to put it? If the market is indeed this oversupplied, once the onshore storage gets filled up, then you need more storage and tankers. That's all for today, everyone. Remember, never investment advice, just the ramblings of a crazy person. And with that, I will wish all of you a great week and good luck.